Tonight, we present to you the rate of filth and disorder at Rai Market in Bonabero of the Douala 4 municipality, which has become unbearable to several traders. Traders who are braving the odds despite all the odds, say that they have so far been neglected by local authorities. Also in this newscast, how is Cameroon preparing to participate in the COP22 summit to be hosted by Morocco come November 2016. It was the purpose of a meeting that was today organized in Yaoundé by the National Commission for Human Rights and Freedoms. These are headlines. We shall be right back. Good evening to you, televiewers. We thank you so much for joining us in this edition of the Primetime Newscast on Equinox Television. Traders at the Rai Market, as we announced a few seconds ago, have been paying their taxes on a daily basis, but they cannot understand why the problem of hygiene and sanitation is not being tackled by local administrative authorities. It is muddy and inaccessible, or the road to the market is practically muddy and not accessible to several traders. Our reporter Nzira Yuk was there and brought back this report.
Situated at the west entrance into the city of Douala, the market located around the railroad in Bonaberi is in a porous state. One would hardly believe this is a market in the heart of the economic capital. The hygienic state of the market is unimaginable, and we are tempted to question its existence.
We pay our regular tickets. We pay money to the council. We pay each person, a table pay 1,000 francs. We have boutiques with 2,000 francs, some are 2,500 francs.
A legalized market space with council officials collecting taxes daily.
Yes, we pay gardenage. We pay all the taxes where they ask. We pay ticket.
Hard to believe it is in such a state. Pools of stagnant water here and there, heaps of dirt right beside foodstuff, mud on every turn, barely hanging bridges to take buyers and sellers from one end of the market to another. This is the perfect picture of the railway market in the Douala 4 municipality.
We have a lot of problems here that does not reflect a market. We live as if we are pigs because everything has been abandoned. You see water everywhere, deaths everywhere. Then you have very strange odor that sometimes the people are obliged to live here.
The traders say with all the filth they have to paddle through every day, the pungent smell is sometimes unbearable. To add to their grief and frustration, the Douala 4 Council is threatening to demolish the market with no relocalization plans afoot.
You want to remove people there, you look for a place and put them before coming to send them out of the initial place.
Some traders are now threatening to share the main road with vehicles in their attempts to escape the mud and filth inside the market. Traders at the real market in Bonaberi in the Douala 4 municipality are therefore calling on authorities to stop encouraging lawlessness. They say if plans are underway to demolish the market, then the council should stop collecting money from them for selling on the site.
From the Rai Market in Bonabero of the Douala 4 municipality, we take you now to Idea in the Sanaga Maritime Division, where the Idea 1 Council has launched an aggressive sensitization campaign to reach that locality of the littoral region of non-biodegradable plastic bottles, or bags rather. It is in response to the non-respect of the decision by the Minister of Environment on the ban on the plastics that was put in place several months ago, or a decision that was put in place by the minister several months ago. The council has announced repressive measures against defaulters, as Babla Jonathan tells us in this report.
Despite the government ban on the production, sale and use of non-biodegradable plastics in Cameroon, business persons continue violating the administrative decision.
Il ne manque pas de plastique non biodégradable.
The mayor of the Dia 1 subdivision, Yete Mbote Jacques, confirms the existence of non-biodegradable plastics on markets and in shops in the municipality.
Ils emballent sérieusement bien, seulement ils sont chers.
Traders say they are not respecting the government ban on non-biodegradable plastics because the authorized type of 61 microns and above are expensive. They are suggesting that prices of the authorized plastics should be reduced to affordable levels. The Dia One Council has dismissed their complaints but has rather launched an anti-non-biodegradable plastics campaign.
La sensibilisation va de porte à porte.
The council has embarked on aggressive communication with the aid of young people on holidays in a bid to sensitize the population on the damaging environmental impacts of non-biodegradable plastics.
La deuxième qui va suivre dans les prochains jours, c'est la collecte et le ramassage.
The sensitization phase of the crusade will be followed by the seizure of non-biodegradable plastics and then sanctions against adamant defaulters.
Now, more than 1 week after the disappearance of Ndonfak Jr., that is the 3-year-old child who is said to have fallen into a pit toilet in the Bepanda neighborhood, the subject is still on the lips of several persons here in the economic capital, Douala. Locals are complaining that the search of the boy, which lasted just for 3 days, was supposed to be extended for about a week at least. Let us have their reactions in the following report with Jacques Ekwekinge.
Life seems to be returning to normal in the Bepanda Tune neighborhood in the Douala 5 municipality more than 1 week after the disappearance of little Ndonfak Jr. alleged to have fallen inside a collapsed pit toilet. Though the gate of the site still remains sealed, the building has been partly destroyed to enable trucks transport ground to the site as promised by the mayor of the Douala 5 Council. The pit has apparently been filled by council officials despite demands from certain individuals who threw their messages on placards placed at the entrance to the site were demanding for more efforts by the authorities to continue the search for the body of the 3-year-old boy, an initiative supported by certain inhabitants. For now, neighbors are obliged to live with the situation, saying they don't have any option.
Ça nous dérange, mais le fait déjà fait.
Non, c'est embarrassant, mais on va faire comment?
It is now certain that the more than 60 meters deep pit toilet will now serve as a grave for little Ndonfak Jr. Occupants of the building have been obliged to abandon the building. The family of Ndonfak Jr. now have no option than to carry out funeral rites despite the absence of the corpse.
Civil society actors in the domain of climate change are now aware of the role that they would have to play in the COP22 summit that is going to be hosted by Morocco come November 2016. In a Yaoundé meeting today organized by the National Commission for Human Rights and Freedoms, it was revealed that Africa is likely to be the most affected as far as climate change is concerned. Roland Nakong was part of that meeting and now tells us more.
The 22nd Conference on Climate Change, COP22, takes place in Marrakesh, Morocco, November this year. Rights officials from Morocco are in Cameroon to get the civil society fully mobilized for the event, saying it is a major event given the challenges facing humanity concerning climate change.
So many rights are involved. We find the environment degrading, and there are steps being taken by various actors in the society, including parliamentary groups, including civil society organizations, to try to see how they could fight against the adverse effects of climate change.
An activist on climate change gives us a sense of some of the issues to be tabled at the COP22 conference in Marrakesh.
For the last 20-something years, we've been talking about an agreement, which is not a perfect one, but it's at least it's something. So now, after the euphoria, it is important for us to come and sit down and see what we're going to do with this agreement. And it doesn't matter who is there organizing it, but what we need is a mobilization of the grassroots. And you see, it is not by accident that it's being organized in partnership with the Human Rights Commission, because climate change is also a question of human rights and rights in general.
COP22 comes after the climate summit in Paris last year.
Roland Akong, the reporting. We take you now to Lom of the Mongo division of Cameroon, where second-handed clothes and underwears are the choices of many, especially in the market. Sellers say that it is profitable or a profitable venture, while buyers hold that they are cheaper and durable. But a good number still shy away for what they call health reason. Our reporter Enzi Rayu compiled this report.
Despite the influx of new clothes getting into Cameroon from China, Europe and the Americas, most Cameroonians still prefer second-handed clothes for diverse reasons. To some, second-handed clothes are of a better quality and will last longer.
I prefer Okuka because the quality inside Okuka more than Chinese.
To others, these clothes of doubtful origin are usually unclean and carry infections, especially underwears.
Le sous-vêtement neuf parce que je crois qu'elle est plus hygiénique de ma part. La friperie là, je sais que c'est un truc qui a déjà été plus utilisé.
Mostly women can be spotted in markets picking out underwears for their children from bales of second-handed clothes. Some are affordable, while others are not. Truth is, sometimes one could get clothes at less than 200 francs CFA from the clothes commonly called Opika or friperie in Cameroon.
New clothes is the best. New one is free without microbe, has illness.
Asked why most of them do not go in for what we generally call Chinese clothes, which are not only brand new but also colorful, most people say the clothes are not durable and they end up spending more since the clothes have to be replaced every now and then. In Lom, in the Mongo division of the country, like elsewhere, second-handed clothes sell like hotcake, as buyers, mostly women, cannot wait to grab what they can from the bales of clothes which are shipped into Cameroon almost daily.
Vêtements neufs, plus souvent c'est les Chinois et ça ne dure pas.
We take you right away to news out of Cameroon. A former leader of the banned extremist group has been convicted of encouraging support for ISIL terrorist group. He was convicted. That was on Tuesday this week. Let's have the details with Euronews.
Britain's most high-profile hate preacher Anjem Choudhury has been found guilty of supporting the so-called Islamic State group. The radical Islamist cleric was convicted alongside associate Mohammed Mizanur Rahman of using online lectures and messages to inspire support for the militant organization. Both faced 10 years in jail at their sentencing due in September. Dubbed the most hated man in Britain for his rhetoric, Choudhury gained notoriety for praising the men behind the 9/11 attacks. He was once the head of Al-Muhajirun, which has been linked to dozens of terror suspects. Michael Adebolajo, one of the men who killed British soldier Lee Rigby, had attended protests organized by Choudhury.
Still in news out of the country, this time around we talk about the Rio Olympic Games taking place in Brazil. A member of the International Olympic Committee Executive Board has been arrested in Rio in connection with a probe into illegal ticket sales. Let's have more once again with Euronews.
No interest whatsoever.
A member of the International Olympic Committee's Executive Board has been arrested in Rio in connection with a probe into illegal ticket sales. Ireland's Patrick Hickey is suspected of having links to an international scheme to pass Olympic tickets to touts to be sold on at high prices. Hickey, who heads up the European Olympic Committee, was detained in his son's hotel room and taken to hospital by ambulance, according to Brazilian media. At a news conference, Rio police said there were tickets that came directly from the Irish Olympic Committee and they could not be sold by other companies or special programs. Hickey did not immediately respond to calls for comment. His arrest comes after the director of sports hospitality company THG Sports and a translator employed by the firm were detained last week amid allegations that they could have made more than €2.5 million from buying tickets and reselling them on at a higher price. THG has rejected the accusations against the company and the director.
And still out of the country, treasure hunters have finally started digging to uncover lost Nazi train full of gold that is in Poland. It is said to cost some 250 million euro. Once again, Oro News.
A team of treasure hunters searching for a Nazi gold train have started excavations on the site where the stuff of legends supposedly vanished in southwest Poland near the Czech border in 1945. I have to admit the results of the ground-penetrating radar examinations are very promising. There's no coincidence. 6 independent companies using radar technology have detected the evidence of a tunnel on the site. The search continues, despite scientists saying late last year that there's no evidence that the train exists.
And now we bring to you a very sad news. This time around, we talk about João Havelange, who served the world's football governing body as president for 2 decades and transformed the soccer's governing body into a multi-billion-dollar business and a hotbed for subsequent corruption that damaged his reputation, has so far died. He died at the age of 100. He died, that was Tuesday this week, from a respiratory infection. In 2009, it should be noted that he led off Rio's bid presentation to the international committee that was inviting other members to vote him join in celebrating his 100 years of existence. As we noted earlier, he was former president of the world's football governing body. He died at the age of 100. That is that for this edition of the Primetime Newscast on Equinox Television. Viewers, we thank you so much for joining us. Until we meet again, stay tuned in the company of our programs.